SighSquad podcast. It's another great week, and sports are actually starting to come back in a way.
Yes. Did you guys see MLB's proposed? Like, they finally got an approved plan to try and get baseball started again?
Yeah, I'm excited. Even though I don't watch baseball, I'm excited because that means that other sports are also going to start making public plans, and I'm excited.
I am also very excited.
I believe I saw that the NBA was opening certain training facilities for select people at a time, is what they said.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's not here in America, but Bundesliga, the soccer league in Germany, they're going to be starting up next week, actually. So sports are coming back.
All right. The first sport that actually did make a return would be UFC after their whole thing and debacle and everything. And I think the way that they were able to test everybody, the way they went about it, yeah, there's controversial stuff with Joe Rogan, but that's kind of expected with Joe Rogan.
Right. Joe Rogan doesn't care. Like, Joe Rogan has earned a lot of respect that it's just like, or he just knows, he knows what he's all about, so.
But I think they've set out a blueprint of how things could go without fans and stuff. And for some reason, it didn't look that bad. So when you're watching, as you know, I'm a pro wrestling fan, so I watch pro wrestling every week. But when you're watching pro wrestling without fans, it just doesn't seem right. But when I was watching the UFC without fans, it didn't really bother me at all. Like, it looked normal.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I always kind of wanted to, like, I wish, like, leagues would do is, like, they can, like, I feel like they could just, like, implement, like, crowd noise into it if it really was that big of a bother, if it was that awkward, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of, Duncan will get this joke. I'm surprised WWE doesn't do that. They did that with Roman Reigns already.
Makes sense. I mean, but see, 249 was actually a really good event, and I really liked the card.
Oh, yeah, they said it was one of the most stacked cards ever.
Oh, yeah.
No, the most stacked card ever. I unfortunately did not watch it because I did not want to pay $90 for it, but I tried to tune into, like, a bunch of, like, other, like, podcasts and stuff with it and all that stuff. Who were the, because I said there was, like, there's two title bouts in that card? Okay.
The interim, that Gaethje won, and then Triple C beat Dominic Cruz, and then retired. But I thought it was a really good card. I watched every single match somehow, not disclosing whether I paid or not because I didn't. But and I thought it was, like, one of the better cards in a while, actually. It started off hot, and I think the only two duds on the card, questionably, was the women's fight, which is upsetting because I was expecting it to be a little more. Yeah. But it just shows how evenly matched they were. And then the Greg Hardy fight was the other fight that was kind of lackluster. But besides that, I think everything was above average in terms of what you'd expect to see on fight cards.
Yeah, that's good. Like you said, hopefully that'll lay out what needs to happen for sports leagues to come back, because I am getting sick of not watching live sports.
Yeah. We would like to congratulate Triple C on his great young career, retiring at a very young age.
Yeah, what a way to go out. You win the belt and then you just announce your retirement. Like, what a way to go out.
That would piss me off so much if I was Dana White, though.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, Dana White probably wasn't happy to hear it, but
especially because the finish was controversial.
Right.
Cruz was getting up and the guy called the fight, but that's besides the point. And then George St. Pierre was announced to be the first inductee into the UFC Hall of Fame this year.
Nice.
And so big congrats to him.
Nice.
Also, Justin Gaethje was challenged this afternoon, actually, by Conor McGregor.
Oh.
So if we could get that going on, that would be cool too.
Yeah, I mean, because Khabib's not going to give him a shot. So I mean, heck, Dana White, that is your move, Dana. If you want to sell some pay-per-views, that's the way to do it.
Other things that are going on. Money in the Bank was this weekend. Also, really interesting. There's a few things I'd like to touch on. First of all, the hacker. There's an anonymous hacker guy that's hacking and showing footage saying that people aren't as strong, or teams aren't as safe and strong as they should be. and there's a lot of speculation on who that could be. But I just think it's really good because they're using social media to push that.
Yeah.
And so I like that. The tag team fatal 4-way match where the New Day won. That was a good match. Wasn't expected to be as good as it was.
I always worry about like tag team fatal 4-way just because I feel like there's just a lot out and that might like too much that might go on. But it was actually a really solid match, and New Day won, which is probably the safe and right result.
Yeah.
Oh, you cool cats and kittens.
Okay.
Hey, you cool cats and kittens.
Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre was an amazing match. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed like how it was given so much time.
Yeah, and it was kind of because I'm glad they did because like the pay-per-view got done fair. Like it was kind of a quick little pay-per-view. It seemed usually.
Yeah, it was like
2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you knew Drew and Seth Rollins were gonna put on a good match. Those are two of your workhorse guys, and no, it was a very I had a pretty good time watching my. Like I said, I was worried. I always get worried with WWE now with pay-per-views when there's no fans. Like WrestleMania wasn't like the first day wasn't ideal. Second day had a few good matches, but like Money in the Bank was a good recovery, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. I wish they would use more like AEW where they have like wrestlers out there.
Yeah.
But it's whatever it is at this point. And then the main event climbed the corporate ladder in the Money in the Bank briefcase match. I really enjoyed that match, and I thought it could have gone on for another hour, and I wouldn't have been upset.
It was actually really well done and well put together. Like, so I was worried when they were having like both the women and the men go at the same time that it was just going to be just a big like cluster or whatever. But no, it was very, very good. I quite enjoyed it. It was fun too because like then you get to see like all the WWE headquarters. You get those like fun creative spots and stuff. So those are always fun.
Yeah. I was really happy that Otis won.
Yeah.
Otis is my boy.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and it's crazy because like now he's getting like this big push, but now it's just kind of like, oh, heavy machinery, I guess, is just no more, I guess, or whatever.
Well, he said before the pay-per-view, after he got entered, he said if he won, he was going to challenge for the tag team championships. So
there you go.
That's an interesting way to use the Money in the Bank. But I'm excited to see what goes on here because I think that with Florida kind of lifting some of their restrictions, I could definitely see WWE bringing back a limited amount of fans. And then with the limited amount of fans, I could see that spreading into all the other actual sports.
Yeah.
And allowing those to get started. So that was cool there.
Yeah. Well, because even like you're talking about Florida, Miami set out a pretty good plan too. I don't know if we talked about this last week. Miami had a good like little setup that they had. They had it all kind of laid out and planned out how they would do it if the NFL season were to start on time, which they're not going to cancel the NFL season, but at this point I could see it getting pushed back. But
I'm not really sure if they will with the NFL season. I definitely think preseason could be in jeopardy just because especially NFL wouldn't be as hesitant canceling preseason games or reschedule preseason games.
Right.
I think with the actual schedule, though, I think they're going to stay pretty firm on their early September, whenever the first game is, usually first week of September.
Yeah, I could definitely see that too, which, I mean, I would be okay with just because it would just be first, I just don't want NFL getting delayed at any given point. I mean, I don't know what your guys' opinion is on preseason, but like if they can't, like I think they at least need to have at least 2. I would say if they had to like do something of that effect, but I'd rather take away preseason games than push back regular season games.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of agree with that. But I think that preseason is really important, and so I think if we don't get preseason and all the workouts and stuff that goes with it, I don't think the football will be as good.
Oh, and that's without question. Like training camp may not start in time, and that will like matter. Because like you said, because you still want quality of play, and you want everyone to be at their best. And if there's no training camp, and at least not like 2 preseason games, it's gonna be the first couple weeks are gonna look a little shaky and rough, especially with all the changes going on that went on in the off season.
Last year, around this time, we sat down and we ranked all the NFL teams based off our classic rank 'em categories, and we ranked them on we thought they were going to do in the last year's season. We had an elite, above average, average, and below average tier. So we're going to take a quick look at what we thought of last year. Some teams we got right, some teams we got wrong. Then we are going to re-rank what we think teams are going to be for this next season.
Yeah.
So, last year our elite tier, we had 4 teams: the Rams, Saints, Chargers, and Browns. And I remember vividly begging them not to put the Browns in this category because I didn't think the Browns were going to be that good.
And you were right.
The Chargers were bad last year. The Browns weren't great last year. The Rams struggled last year. Honestly, the only team that I say earned this elite spot was the Saints.
No, and I would agree.
Yeah.
Chargers got derailed with injuries, so that didn't really help a whole lot. But they went like 6-10, something like that. And
Something like that. Not elite.
yeah. And obviously, I love seeing the Rams in that elite category, but that was not what they lived up to be this year. Went 9-7, so they were above average, but not what we were hoping for this year, which is a damn shame.
So our second category, we had 6 teams in our above average. We had the Texans, the Eagles, the Patriots, the Colts, the Jags, and the Seattle Seahawks.
I think the 2 teams that we got right there were the Texans and the Seahawks. You could also, I guess, argue the Patriots, but they were definitely on a decline.
Yeah.
Well, but the Patriots.
I want to look at it
12
this
and
way.
4.
All of the teams there, except for the Colts and the Jags, made it to the playoffs, which is kind of the exact definition of above average.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like the Eagles were riddled with injuries. Patriots still went 12 and 4. Texans and Seahawks were obviously good. So honestly, that's a pretty solid list. And the Colts, I understand why they were up there is because Jacoby Brissett is not as bad as everyone says he is. That Colts team is not terrible by any means. They just, again, they also had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and Jacoby Brissett, he was good, not great. That's just, and that was, he was just there.
Just to let you know, Noah, this was also made before the Andrew Luck thing.
Oh, was it really? Oh, then that makes perfect sense. Okay,
yeah.
that makes absolute sense then. Then I would have put him in the that's interesting. Then that makes a lot of sense because I would have put them in the above average too, honestly. I mean, I honestly would have put them ahead of Cleveland for the elite. Again, I obviously would have had KC in the elite, but we'll get to that in a second.
So
Cleveland being in the elite was kind of my response to a certain team not making it to the elite, but
you know what? And that's honestly fair. That is fair.
So if we look at our next category average, it's funny. So all 4 teams that played on championship weekend here, the last round of the playoffs, are in the average or below average categories.
Oh,
the Chiefs, the Packers are in the average, and the 49ers in the below average.
It's crazy.
Perfect list. I don't know what you mean.
Just to show the parity of the NFL, there it is.
So obviously in our average category, we had four of the 8 teams we put in here made the playoffs. 3 of them made it to right the game for the Super Bowl. This was a miss. This whole section was a miss. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I think the Cowboys belong there, and you could probably argue the Steelers belong there.
Yeah. Well, the Steelers had quarterback issues. Bears belong there because they again don't have a quarterback. Falcons belong there. And Buffalo, as of now, would probably be an above average team. I mean, they made Buffalo made the playoffs, but other than that, I mean, it's not. And obviously, the Niners did okay this year, I guess.
Yeah. So if we go into the below average, obviously the Niners did significantly better than we presumed. The Buffalo was a pretty solid team, but I think this below average, honestly, is probably going to stay the same teams. Change Buffalo and the Niners and probably the Cardinals out, and the Titans maybe. Titans did pretty good.
Yeah, Titans got a solid team.
But a lot of these teams, Bengals, Jets, Raiders, Lions, Dolphins, Redskins, Giants, Panthers, will probably all stay in this bracket.
I think for the most part, I think there's going to be a couple that move up a slot, but I think for the most part we kind of got the below average.
Yeah, below average was pretty easy. I think we did
Yeah.
pretty good on that.
Yeah, I feel like below average would definitely be the easiest one to do because obviously you have like your elites and your playoff team, which is, what's now going to be 14 teams. That still leaves over half the league of just being there.
So does the new playoff format actually start this season, or does it start next season? Like
this season.
So there's gonna be two extra playoff teams this season.
I've just been really confused lately because I thought that we were gonna have the 17-week season this week or this year. I mean, but
yeah, because like that starts like next year, but like this year, this upcoming football season, that'll be the start of the new playoff format. And then the next year, that is when they will start doing 17 games, an 18-week NFL schedule.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, we're going to be re-ranking these guys. We're gonna change up a little bit. We're gonna do 4 again in our elite category, 2 NFC, 2 AFC. We're gonna do 8 in our above average, and then 10 in our average and 10 in our below average. We decided to move some teams up just because of the new playoff schedule. Obviously, bringing 2 extra teams into the playoffs changes our categories a little bit. But let's work our way down. So our elite tier, I know Brandon wasn't here, but I think the consensus was the other 3. That our elite teams were in the AFC, the Chiefs and the Ravens, and in the NFC, the Niners and the Saints.
Yeah, that's what I had. New Orleans, San Fran, Baltimore, KC. Those are the easy ones for me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured that would be a general consensus. Above average is where we're going to need to start arguing. For what I think for the AFC teams in our above average, I thought we would have the Titans, the Bills, the Colts, and the Chargers. Thoughts?
So you had what again, Ben?
The Titans, the Bills, the Colts, and the Chargers.
I had the Colts, Chargers, and Titans, but I had the Cleveland Browns instead of the Buffalo Bills. Now, it was a toss between Cleveland and Buffalo. I personally think Cleveland did a really good job of going out and getting improvements where they needed to, especially at the offensive line, getting Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills. So they have 2 brand new tackles who I will presume are going to be upgrades from what they had. So Baker Mayfield will get hit less. They get a new head coach in Kevin Stefanski, who actually has pedigree to him, and he can handle this young roster. And I think when Myles Garrett isn't trying to smash people's heads in with helmets, he's a really good defensive end. He'll be back at the start of the season because his suspension got lifted. So I think this team is going to be a little more mature this year. I think their offense is going to be able to be a little more explosive this year. So that's why I would put them above Buffalo. But, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Buffalo's a good football team. Like, they're going to be a playoff team. They're probably going to win their division this year.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Duncan.
Okay. So I have the Dolphins, the Titans, the Colts, and the Bills. The Titans, Colts, and Bills, kind of obvious reasons. But for the Dolphins, I think that they've just improved so much. And what'd they go last year?
They were in full-on tank mode last year, traded all their good players away, and they still went 5-11.
Exactly. They went 5-11 last year.
Beating the Patriots, giving Kansas City second place.
Yeah, Miami pretty much ruined New England's season, essentially.
They did that trying to lose. I think they've just gained so much that they're easily, especially when you look at the East? Especially when you look at the East, I definitely think they have a chance there.
Yeah.
Obviously the Patriots aren't what we're gonna be. I don't quite think the Jets are quite ready for it. And so I think their competition there would be both Buffalo. But I just think that they're going to be able to make that spot as well.
Yeah. And I personally think Miami's still a year away just because I don't know if Tua's going to play this year. But let's say he does play this year and he pops like he's supposed to. Boom, you have your quarterback. Miami has a significantly better defense this year. And I think Miami's a year away, but like I won't dog on that. I'll put mad respect for the Dolphins, and I love Brian Flores. I think he's a great coach.
Brendan, what do you think? What AFC teams do you think would be in the above average category?
So I'm actually going to 100% agree with you, Ben.
Me. All right.
Oh, wait. What was your teams again? I want to make sure I have it right.
Titans, Colts, Bills, Chargers.
Yeah. So my big thing there is like with Noah's moving up Cleveland, the way I kind of look at it is Cleveland probably won't win their division, whereas the Bills will, which shouldn't determine the strength of the team, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
That's a fair argument. If I had to use a counter argument, I would say the AFC East is going to be weaker, but still, like, you know, I could definitely see putting a division winner above just a wild card team.
So, what I've gathered is the consensus that the Titans and the Colts are for sure in the above average. Does anybody have any problems with that?
Nope. Colts, Chargers, Titans, we all had that. We just had a couple disagreements on our last one. But it seemed we all, like I said, Buffalo, I was contemplating putting them there. But, like, Buffalo is my first team in the average category. Like, they're my first team. Because, like, Buffalo's a good team.
So let's vote on these last two spots then. Who thinks the Bills are going to be an above average AFC team? I do.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I do think they're going to be above average. So, yeah, I'll vote Bills too.
All right. So our number 3 team is going to be the Bills. And how about the last number 4 spot? I heard Dolphins, Chargers, or Browns.
Ooh, God,
I think
tough.
the Chargers are going to be really good, and they might even be good enough to kind of boost themselves to the elite tier if things fall into place for them, because we're making gambles on some unseen talent. But
I'm also gonna vote the Chargers.
I also vote the Chargers.
Okay, I guess the Chargers are going up there.
All right. For our 4 NFC teams, I will go first and tell you who I have. I have the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Green Bay Packers.
That's fair. I have the Seahawks, Bucks, and Cowboys as well, but instead of the Green Bay Packers, I actually have the Arizona Cardinals. I just think that the Cardinals are going to be better this year. Kyler's going off on all cylinders. He's got D-Hop this year. I really like the coaching. And I just think the Packers were probably the biggest fluke of a 13-3 team last year. They just had so many close games and they didn't really get better, especially in the draft. You could argue they got backup players instead of getting starting players like Jordan Love and backup running back in their first 2 rounds. But I just think that the Cardinals got better and will be better than the Packers will be this next year. Just because you also don't know the tension that Aaron Rodgers has with LaFleur and how that could affect the game.
I think the one disadvantage for the Arizona Cardinals is going to be that division. 1 second, sorry. So obviously the Arizona Cardinals are in
the NFC West.
The NFC West with the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Rams. I think with the Niners being as elite as they are, and the Seahawks potentially being a good playoff team, I think it's going to be hard for the Cardinals to win those a couple extra games. And I think that's where the Packers are going to have the advantage, just because they have a much higher chance of winning their division.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say about the Cardinals is, I mean, I still worry about their tackle positions, even though Kyler Murray is just an amazing athlete. If I wouldn't be surprised that Kyler Murray has that pop season like Lamar Jackson did this year. I don't think he'll be as good as Lamar Jackson, but he could have that big like pop season. But with Isaiah Simmons, who can play 3 positions on the football field, that'll definitely help.
So who do you guys have, Brendan and Noah? Who do you guys have for what NFC teams do you think will be above average?
If I go next,
go for it, Brendan.
So, I'm gonna switch it up just a wee bit here. I'm thinking there's gonna be the Niners in this category. The Cardinals.
Wait. So you have the Niners and above average.
Not elite.
I do have the Niners and above average.
Oh, well, Brendan, who's in your elite category? We never really discussed that.
I agreed with the elite category.
But the Niners are in the elite category.
Are they in the elite category?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Did I just?
It
I'm
was
so.
Chiefs, Ravens, Niners, Saints.
Oh, that's why I agreed with it. I'm sorry. I blanked for a second.
You know, you're good. I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss
Niners
any,
are just in every category. I don't know what you mean.
The Niners are so good; they just have their own category.
Yeah. No. That was a misstep. I have the Cardinals. The Seahawks. I have both of them in there. I'm gonna throw it out there. Eagles.
Yes, thank you, Brendan. Thank you.
And I would actually put the Packers in the above average.
There you go.
So I'm shaking up the world a little bit here, but
Love it.
I would, out of like the remaining teams, like I think that would be kind of how
Alright.
things unfold.
Noah, what do you got in your
So
top four?
in the NFC, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I had another toss-up. I had a toss-up between Dallas and Green Bay for my above average and average. I put Dallas over Green Bay because I think Green Bay's schedule is a lot tougher this year. I think Dallas addressed all the needs they needed to in the draft. Now, that's banking on rookies, but obviously their offense is going to be a little bit better. Not a little bit, they'll be significantly better. Dak has no excuses this year. If they do bad, it's all on him, and he doesn't deserve a dime of that money. It's also and Duncan pretty much already made the points about Green Bay for me, so I don't need to repeat that. But I think Dallas's offense is going to be able to explode a little bit more. I think defense is going to improve with the new defensive coordinator. I don't, Ben, I don't know what your opinion is on Mike McCarthy, but I think that's a good hire by Dallas. Like, just because McCarthy didn't work out the last 2 years doesn't make him a bad coach. Like, Mike McCarthy won you guys a Super Bowl and multiple playoff appearances for a reason. Like, the guy can coach. So,
And the only worry about I have is I do think the Cowboys also have a decently hard schedule. They play Seattle, they play the Ravens, they play the Niners, they go to the Vikings. They have a couple tough games. I think especially if you're counting Philly as as a high team, I think those games against Philly are going to be hard. Yeah. I just don't. I think in the end, I think the Packers will have the better record than the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would slightly disagree, but like, to be honest, like, I could see Dallas going 9-7, and like if Green Bay goes 8-8, like that's not that much of a difference. That's one good play in a football game from having the same record. Does Dallas play Green Bay this year?
What?
Packers are going 8-8.
No,
I like it, Noah, but I had them going 9-7.
I think 9-7 is their ceiling, their absolute ceiling. If everything goes right for the Green Bay Packers,
top, no, ceiling is the top, not the bottom. Sorry,
ceiling is the top, like the best they can do.
Yeah, so the ceiling will be like 12-4, and the low would be 9-7.
So I was right. Yeah, no, ceiling 9-7. I knew what I said.
So my concern with Dallas is I'm really concerned with the hits that they took at the secondary in the offseason.
Yeah. Right.
Again, they kind of addressed it in the draft.
Well, they did address it in the draft, but that's banking on rookies, which is a legit thing. But I do think Dallas
I'm also like, if you think about the change from like Byron Jones, who's been on that team for a while, is a leader.
Yeah.
Down to a rookie.
I think he's a good cornerback. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's my concern, is the shift. Like, it's not even like I don't think that the rookies are going to pan out. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be really good for him on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm just worried about that defense.
Yeah.
All right. So with the NFC so far, the only consensus was the Seattle Seahawks. Am I wrong?
You're right.
You would be right.
All right. So we need to determine the other three slots. So we have potential. So some names that came up were, if I remember all of them right, the Cardinals, the Bucks, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Packers. I think that was it. Am I missing any NFC teams that anybody said?
You had all of mine.
Yeah.
All right. So, I don't know. We have 3 spots to fill, and we have 5 or 6 teams to fill them. Let's vote. Let's do, I don't know, Cowboys first. Who thinks the Cowboys are going to be above average NFC team?
I do.
I mean, I do think they'll be above. I would say they'll be above average. I would put a bunch of other teams ahead of them, but I would say they'd be above average.
All right, let's do it this way. What should be the second team up?
To me, it should be Philadelphia or Tampa.
I think Tampa.
Yeah.
I don't trust Tampa yet. I don't think Tampa is ready yet to be above average. I think you have obviously Bruce Arians and Tom Brady have never worked together. You're in a new system. I'm still iffy on the defense. I really don't think that this first year the Bucs are going to be a fantastic team.
I'm still high on what's going to be the number one offense this season with the Cardinals. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the Cardinals.
The thing about Tampa, I will say this about Tampa is like it's not like it's gonna be. Now, I will say this is where the concern for like the whole like not having training camp is gonna hurt him a little bit. But if we all know who Tom Brady is, we already know he's working hard like in the film. Like we know who Tom Brady is as a football player and as a character. So for me, I don't think the offense is going to take that much of hits. Tom Brady's going to figure out like chemistry stuff. Him and Bruce Arians, like they wanted each other. Like that is, which is weird because Bruce Arians isn't really the guy to give up the reins like that to Tom Brady. He's just not that kind of coach. But I think he knows this is his best chance to get a championship in these next 2 years. Now, I will say the defense is a legit concern, especially in the pass game. Like their run defense was first in the NFL, so they're gonna be able to stop the run, but they're one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. And when you're in an elite division of passing like the NFC South, that is going to be a concern. But I will say I don't think they're going to have an issue being able to keep up with them with the best of them. It just may hurt them later in the year because Tom Brady will start to wear himself out. So come around playoff time, that's when they'll fall flat on their face.
Okay,
I would put Philly above Tampa if I had to say anything.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you guys, right? So the last 7, you got to also look at where they're playing. Their last 7 games are inside.
Ooh, that's crucial. That's important.
That really is going to help. Even if Tom isn't fantastic, that'll definitely help Tampa Bay. They have a late bye, week 13, I think.
That's also
13
true.
or 14. And I think that they will, being indoors, I think is really going to help them. And if you look at who they play, Tampa's got Carolina, which is one of the
worst defenses.
Going to be one of the worst teams. They got the Falcons, which who knows about the Falcons at this point?
Right.
They play the AFC West, so that's probably 2 wins against Denver and against Vegas. They play the Giants. I give them the win over the Giants. They play the Rams. I give them the win over the Rams. Minnesota will be difficult depending on the schedule, but they also play the NFC North. So Detroit and the Bears will also be another victory for them.
Yeah, they do have a very workable schedule. That is for sure. I would still put Philly ahead of them, above Tampa, just because I think Philly has the better complete roster, and I just think they're a better football team. But
who does Philly have for receivers though?
Well, they're gonna have they got Marquise Goodwin, and they have Jalen Reagor,
and they have JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Are you gonna trust them over a proven set of receivers like Godwin and Mike Evans?
No, but I trust the quarterback. I trust Carson Wentz a damn lot, so that's where my trust lies.
And plus, where you lack at receivers in comparison to the Bucs, you actually have a really decent running back in Miles Sanders.
Right. And Boston Scott got a lot of playing time late in the year too, and he proved himself a lot. So
yeah, and the Eagles actually have a defense.
Right. Philly has a really good defense. Tampa does not have a good defense.
So are there 2 teams, the Bucs and Philly, for the second slot then?
I'm just not sold on Philly.
I'm not sold on Philly either, honestly.
Why? Oh, God.
Because
I feel like
has not played a full season since
outside of Carson Wentz getting hurt, because obviously that could just not happen, and then that would throw everything out the tube.
But that's really the only thing for me is Carson Wentz.
So
I
hear
don't
me
think
out.
that's
Hear me
a good
out.
enough reason.
Hear me out. I think Jalen Hurts is
Now they
also
have
enough
nobody.
of a game
Really nobody.
manager that he can
You know
do
what?
it.
And that's a good point. Thank you, and that's why. Thank you, Brendan, for mentioning that, because that is why they drafted Jalen Hurts, so they can have another not elite, but like another good quarterback there in case he does go down. Thank you, Brendan, for mentioning that. I forgot about that.
They have the quarterback roster right now as Jalen Hurts in the 2 and always Hurts in the 1. It'll be fine.
With both the Eagles and the Bucks, if I could both see each team winning less than 8 games next year, and that would not surprise me.
Oh my God, that is so disrespectful to Philadelphia. Even if Carson Wentz goes down, they have to rely on Jalen Hurts. That roster is complete in so many ways.
If Carson Wentz goes down, the Cowboys are going to kill them. They're going to lose the division.
No, gosh, no. That defense can make that defense will make Dak Prescott unfreaking comfortable as hell.
It'll be a low-scoring game.
And you mean to tell me that Dallas, who the pass rush lacked a little bit last year, if Jalen Hurts dude, go trying to tackle Jalen Hurts. First off, you couldn't even get your slow quarterbacks. Now you're gonna have to try and tackle Jalen Hurts.
I think the Cowboys defense is not good either.
Well, I think Dallas's defense has some talent on it. They lost a lot, but they have talent.
I think
I will say this: they're relying on a lot of rookies. So you mean to tell me, even if Jalen Hurts is in there, he'll just be able to run around, avoid the pass rush, and just wait for someone to get open? Jalen Reagor is going to be a big deep ball threat. Marquise Goodwin is one of the shiftiest.
If I had the opportunity to put money on the Eagles making the playoffs, I would not bet the Eagles make the playoffs. I would not.
Oh my God, I would take that so. I'm not a betting man, but I would take that so easily. Oh my gosh. I think Philly could be a top 2 team in the NFC. I think their roster is so complete. It's crazy.
I just don't I don't trust their quarterback, and I don't trust their receivers.
Every year it's like, all right, the Eagles have a great that's what we said last year. I listened to
but they're plagued with injuries. Like, obviously I can't predict injuries. I'm just predicting on what I see on paper, what I see in the like. I'm not going to sit there and predict
what I'm worried about, though.
But Carson Wentz played all 16 games this year, and the only reason he didn't play against Seattle was because he took a cheap shot from Jadeveon Clowney.
I know, but he still didn't take it away.
But that's because he took a cheap shot. I can't predict Jadeveon Clowney taking cheap shots. That's so bogus. Because he played all 16 games, put up monster numbers with piss poor receivers, with a quarterback who had to convert to wide receiver. He played all 16 games, and he took a cheap shot. He's not going to be taking cheap shots every single day. And if he's taking cheap shots, he won't be taking them in the playoffs. With a win or lose situation.
In my model, I have him as the 3rd team in the average.
Oh my God, that is
behind the Vikings. I have him behind the Cardinals. I have him behind the Seahawks. I have him behind the Cowboys.
Oh my God, my brain hurts. This is so crazy. Like oh my God.
So
all because
let me help you here, Noah.
No, but I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. So you mean to tell me that a defense that has an elite that's going to have an elite secondary, an elite pass rush, an elite offensive line, an elite quarterback, that's not going to be better than Minnesota, who's going to have who's going to have some weaknesses on the defense because they lost some stuff on defense, or above Arizona, who's not still going to have a defense, and Kyler Murray's got to be running for his freaking life most of the game. Now he'll be doing a good job at it. Oh, just crazy. That is so crazy.
So the way I look at it, right, is the Eagles didn't lose much from last year, made it to the playoffs. Last year. But still, they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And now with the new schedule basically being a cakewalk to make it into the playoffs, I also think they're going to take the division.
Yeah.
I don't trust Dallas yet.
No, and I can see him winning the division.
Well, not at 7-9. The 7-9 won't win that division.
No, I said I could see him going 7-9. They probably.
I can't. I don't see him. I think the floor.
Be a 7-9 team. I
think their floor is 10-6. That's their floor.
No, the floor has to be low.
Yeah,
there has to be a range.
10-4. The low is 10-4. That is the worst Philadelphia can do this year. If disaster strikes, 10-6 is as worst as they can do.
That is not true. No team's floor is that high.
So
Why can't Philadelphia go 10-6? Or yeah, go 10-6. Other than Carson Wentz, I don't want to hear about if Carson Wentz gets hurt. Why can't Philadelphia go 10-6?
But all the receivers got hurt last year.
So we have Carson Wentz. Don't care. And they have Jalen Reagor and Marquise Goodwin.
Their safeties are still in. They lost. Did they lose Malcolm Jenkins and Roddy McLeod this year?
No, they did. I don't think they lost McLeod, but they have Maddox and they have LeBlanc there, and they made improvements in the secondary with Darius Slay and Nickel Roby-Coleman.
Who was the other safety you said?
It's gonna be Maddox and it's gonna be LeBlanc.
Avonte Maddox is actually like secretly good.
Yes, agree.
Secretly good.
Yes, low key.
Okay, so if you look at the Eagles' schedule here, I think they win against the Redskins, they win against the Rams, they win against the Bengals, they lose against the Niners. I think they're gonna put up.
Is that in Levi's or is it in the link?
In Levi's.
Okay, I could see him losing that game.
Prime time game. Against the Steelers,
win.
It's
easy win.
I don't think it's an easy win. I think it's going to be a struggle for them. It's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it'll be a close game. Pittsburgh's defense is legit, but I still think Philly wins that game.
Then they play the Ravens. I think they lose to the Ravens.
Is it in the link or is it at M&T?
It's in the link.
Oh, Philly wins that game then. They're going to have the defense to stop Lamar Jackson. I fully believe it.
About that.
What do you mean you don't know about that?
They play the Giants. I think they beat the Giants. Cowboys, that's going to be an interesting. I think they beat the Cowboys.
Is it? Yeah, I think they'll split this year.
Because that one is primetime in Philly. The other one is, I think, also a primetime game, but in Dallas. Then they play the Giants again. I think they beat the Giants. They beat the Browns, lose to the Seahawks, beat the Packers.
They're not going to beat the Packers in Lambeau in December. They're not.
Oh my God! I was going to say they beat them in Lambeau last year.
Cardinals, I think that's going to be interesting. The Cowboys and then the Redskins. So I could see them. Hold on here. 1, 2, 3. I see them losing 7 or 8 games. Max.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
See,
I can respect that a little more, but here's how I view it. Against Washington, Rams, Cincy, that's 3-0 right there. They'll lose to the Niners. They'll beat Pittsburgh. They'll beat Baltimore. They'll beat the Giants. They'll beat the Cowboys. They'll beat the Giants. They'll beat the Browns. I could see them beating the Seahawks at home. I could see them losing to Green Bay, but I don't think they will. They'll lose to New Orleans. I could see them at Arizona. Seems like a trap game for me, but obviously that they're a better team than Arizona, but that could be a trap game. Same thing with Dallas. I mean, they'll probably split and they'll beat Washington.
So where I'm at for the Eagles' schedule is every game that I thought was going to be close, I just gave them a loss, right? And I ended up with a 10-win season, and that's on games that I assume are close. So let me go doomsday scenario.
So they beat Washington, they beat the Rams, they beat the Bengals. At San Fran will be close, so that'll be a loss. If we're doing that at Pittsburgh, that'll be a loss. Baltimore at home, that could be a loss. Giants, Cowboys, Giants. I think they'll beat the Browns. Seahawks will be close. Packers will be close. Saints will be close. So I have them 10-6 also. So 10-6 is their floor.
If 9-7 is above average, they will be an above average NFC team.
Well, no, but the only thing separating me from putting Philly in the elite category is we only could put 4 teams.
They're definitely not elite.
Yeah, elite. They have the roster to be elite. They have everything is there for Philadelphia to be elite.
I think they have the potential to be elite, but I wouldn't put them in elite, and I'm on your side.
I'm going to.
I think they are above average.
I'm just going to be ahead of the curve. That's just how I view it. I'm just ahead of the curve with again for Philadelphia.
So what are our teams for the second slot here?
They were Cowboys, Eagles, Packers, Cardinals, or one more Bucks.
Okay. So if we looked at
5 teams, 3 slots.
If we look at the Bucks schedule, they play Saints, they're going to lose. Yeah. Panthers win. Broncos, Tom Brady struggles against the Broncos.
They're in Mile High.
It's in Mile High, so I think they'll get a loss there.
Yeah, that's a trap game.
Chargers, they'll win because it's at the Bucks.
Okay.
They'll beat the Bears. Packers, Bucks, I think that's going to be another really close game. It is at the Bucks Stadium, though.
Rodgers, Brady 3.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting game, so we'll just ice that. Raiders, they'll beat the Raiders. They'll beat the Giants. They'll lose to the Saints. I could see them splitting with the Panthers, but I could also see them beating the Panthers.
Yes, I agree.
They'll beat the Rams. They'll lose to the Chiefs. Vikings is another one where I think it could go either way, but we'll give
Where
them
are
the
they
win.
playing? Where are they playing?
That one's in
but-
Raymond James.
Oh, then they could, I go either way. I think if it was in U.S., I think Vikings would be a sure.
They play the Falcons. I think both, because they play the Falcons, Lions, and then Falcons again. I think they could split with the Falcons, but I don't know what to expect out of the Falcons, honestly.
So
And then they'll beat the Lions, so that's a 1.
That'd be 6 losses with no decision on the Packers Tampa game. Right.
Okay, so that's a 9, 7, 10-6 as well.
So if we're looking at like the schedule versus the schedule, Tampa has a cakewalk of a schedule compared to the Eagles.
Right, and Philly could probably still finish with a better record than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So if we're talking about like just the power of the team, like I feel like both these teams, like probably their floors are both like 9-10 win seasons.
I think the floor for both. I think the Tampa Bay floor is even lower. I think Tampa Bay could be a crashing. I think Tampa Bay could be a 7-win team. I really don't know what to think of Tampa Bay. Is Tom Brady going to be good there? Is Gronk going to be healthy? Is the defense going to hold up?
See, and I'll buy those arguments more than I buy the Philadelphia arguments. Like, those are legit things that could happen. You know, Gronk hasn't played what will be in 2 years.
No.
You know, Brady.
Tom Brady's what, 40-something?
Right.
The defense is shaky. I don't think Tampa Bay should be just the fact that we don't know. I don't think Tampa Bay should be an above average.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, like I said, I if it came down to Tampa or Philly, I would easily put Philadelphia over Tampa.
Okay, so we got 4 teams here: Cardinals, Packers, Cowboys,
Eagles.
Eagles.
We
Half of them have to
We
go.
got one more out.
I say that. Let me look again.
Eagles are the best NFC team out of all those teams that we just mentioned. Philly is easily the better team.
So of those 4 teams, my only concerns are one of the Cardinals. Obviously they've made a lot of improvements this year. Again, I think defense is a concern. I would worry about protection of Kyle Murray. He got sacked a lot last year. I think he was the most sacked quarterback last year, or one of the. And then I think the only hard thing other than is having 2 NFC East teams.
Oh,
I don't think it would be one or the other.
That doesn't bother me having 2 division whatever.
I think of those 4 teams, the Cardinals are not above average. Just because, again,
I would agree. I think the Cardinals are a year away. That's my thing. I think they're still
I just don't know.
If you look at the Cardinals' schedule, though, I think the Cardinals have a much easier schedule than the Eagles. So I think that they'll win a lot more games.
I said they'll do it in a tougher division for sure. I mean, I don't. That's the crazy part is like I could see that because they could get swept by the Niners. They could split with the Rams. They could split with the Seahawks. That's kind of how I view it as of right now in terms of how those fare in the division.
Right there, that's 4 divisional losses. I think the Cardinals, it's just because that division is so hard, I don't think they're going to be above average. You don't know.
If you look at the other teams they play, though, they play the Redskins, they play the Panthers, the Lions, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Patriots, which I would give a win to, the Giants, the Eagles, and then those are their non-divisional games.
Damn, they do have some easy games.
I think they win all except for probably one of those.
Well,
I don't know about that. I think when Arizona runs into some like good pass rushers, like some good individual pass rushers, I think the offense will see itself slowing down a little bit. Like I said, I can see Arizona going like 7-9, 8-8. Like I don't know where because I think
the only team that Duncan listed that has good individual pass rushers is the Eagles.
Name those teams again.
Okay, so we got the Redskins.
Not the Redskins. That front 7 is going to be very good this year. That front 7 for Washington is going to be.
They also played the week 1. They play the Niners, don't they?
Yep, but they're in the Niners division, so they'll play them twice.
Yeah.
So they play the Redskins, the Lions. Easy win over the Lions.
Yeah, I could see that.
Panthers, I think they get the win over the Panthers.
Well, right, but that's good. They're gonna have to put some points on the board to win that game. Carolina's offense is gonna be good this year.
But I think Kyler Murray and D-Hop will be able to do it.
As well as Larry Fitzgerald and Kenyon Drake. Like my biggest thing is the Cardinals will probably have, if not the best, top 5 offense in the NFL.
Yeah, no, but I have Arizona's offense for me is no issue. I just worry about pass protection. Like if they face some good pass rushing, like it'll slow them down a little bit. Now having Isaiah Simmons there does help, but there's still some holes on that defense, and the defense that did not do very well last year.
But I mean, at least you have second place sack leader Chandler Jones.
That is true. You have Chandler Jones and Isaiah Simmons. Those are factual statements.
Okay.
And you still have Patrick Peterson.
That's right. Patrick Peterson is coming back from suspension. That's right.
Well, he also was injured last year.
And they have Buda Baker.
I think because of the Cardinals' defensive questions, Kyle Murray questions, all their new addition questions, and that division, we cannot vote them on above average.
I don't think we can vote the Cowboys above average if we're going like that.
Yeah, but the Cowboys are...
So we could kick out the Cardinals and the Cowboys. That way we don't dupe up in either division.
Then we would need to come up with a fourth NFC team.
And see, I don't think the Packers are going to be... I don't think the Packers are going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
I think
I have no issue if we put Green Bay in the above average, because for me it was a toss-up between them and Dallas.
I also have Green Bay as a 10-win team.
I just think that
I'm still pissed off that we haven't determined Philly's not an above average team yet. I'm still set on that. If I don't care what our list looks like, as long as Philadelphia's an above average team, because
I vote Philadelphia as above average.
Okay.
I think Philly is above.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Then honestly, everything else you have valid arguments for. I mean,
I think the next vote, I think the Packers should be above average.
I do not.
Here's why. Here's my argument. Okay, we won 13 last year. We swept the division. I know we're not going to win 13 this year. I think we're going to split with Minnesota. I'm not that worried about the Bears and the Lions. I know we didn't make a lot of additions. We had a couple pickups. Christian Kirksey, Devin Funches, the CFL's top receiver last year, Reggie Bagleton. We signed him.
Christian Kirksey's legit though.
Christian Kirksey's above average. I'll give him that.
I think with what the Packers did last year, I think we're not going to take that much of a step back. I think we're going to win 10, 11 games. I think the Packers should be above average. I still think they have a good chance of winning their division, and I don't see why they wouldn't be above average.
I feel like if we're not gonna argue any other team in the NFC North, the Packers should be up there. Now, this doesn't mean to start arguing the Vikings, because we have pre-established teams.
Now, I was going to say, I have entered the chat. Minnesota has some really key qualities too to them. Like they're going to have a good offense. They're going to have an easier schedule. Now they have some questions on defense as well, more specifically in the secondary, like Green Bay does.
They also lost pieces at the D-line though.
And they lost Stephon Diggs, their best receiver.
The other best receiver.
Okay. Well, all right, fine. Now, fine. I will enter the rookies into the fray, because now we're going to talk about that.
True. They get Justin Jefferson.
They got Justin Jefferson. They got Jeff Gladney. They got that Lynch from Baylor. He's going to be a legit pass rush. And you still have Danielle Hunter. Now I will. Not to mention they got Pierce. They got that Pierce guy from Baltimore in the offseason.
Well, they got Michael Pierce.
They got Michael Pierce. I totally forgot about that.
I forgot about that too.
I just did until just a moment ago. So literally their only major questions are in the secondary, but I think they made some good improvements there to make it work. Now, again, that's just me making the argument for Minnesota if we were going to make that argument debate.
And I'm just saying, because we
the only thing that separates me, I have Green Bay and Minnesota both in my average category. If I had to separate those two, I would just say quarterback. That would be the only thing for me separating, because I trust Aaron Rodgers more than I trust Kirk Cousins.
Fair enough.
As you should.
And I think everyone would agree with that.
Yeah, because Kirk Cousins will look like an MVP one week and look like he should be cut the next.
Right. Like, at least I know with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a really good year this year, but...
So let's do a vote quick. Who thinks the Packers are above average? I'm saying yes.
I'm going to say yes.
I mean... I had them as a toss-up between them and Dallas, so I'm going to say yes, because I have no issue with them being above Dallas.
All right, that's the third slot. We need the last one.
Eagles.
Eagles are already in.
Eagles are in. Don't worry.
That's right. I forgot there was.
Yeah, no, don't trust me. You and I are making sure they're not getting below above average.
To Cowboys, Bucks.
Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals.
Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals. Excuse me.
That's tough because I think you can make an argument for either one of them getting in, but also for either one of them to not be in it. That's tough.
See,
I think I want to go with out of those 3 teams. I think I'd want to go with I want to go with the Cardinals, but for kind of just coming to a consensus thing, I would upvote the Bucks.
I'm also going to vote the Bucks.
Because we were kind of 50-50 on all 3 of these teams.
I would put Tampa above Dallas. So I will also vote Tampa Bay.
I'll go with Tampa over Dallas.
All right. There's our 4. I know it took forever, but there's our 4 NFC teams.
This one was definitely one of the harder ones. I feel like the next 2 categories will probably just be consensus.
Pretty much. So let's go over them right now. So for our average category, in mine personally, I had the Vikings. I had the Cowboys in above average, but because they didn't make it, obviously they're gonna be average. So Vikings, Cowboys, Cardinals, Steelers, Patriots, Texans, Rams, Falcons.
Woohoo, Mob Squad.
How many is that? Is that 10?
I believe
I lost track because you switched up the divisions on me.
I was going to say, are we starting with NFC or AFC?
Yeah, let's do NFC first. First. So 5 NFC teams. I think they have to be the Cowboys, obviously.
I would agree with the Cowboys.
The Vikings.
Yep, I have no issue
I would
with
agree.
So we had the Vikings, the Cowboys. Trying to remember who was all in the NFC.
You also said the Falcons,
Rams.
You also said the Cardinals.
Cardinals. I think definitely.
Yeah. So Cowboys, Vikings, Cardinals. I think for sure. Anybody disagree?
Nope.
Wait.
So Cowboys, Vikings, Cardinals.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
All right. I mean, 2 more NFC teams in the average category.
So for mine, for these last 2 categories, I didn't go on NFC, AFC just because I think that
fair enough.
One is stronger than the other.
All right. I think that's fair. So who else would be an average then? Let's come up with some more names.
Rams, please.
I don't think the Rams are there.
I
don't think the Patriots are here though either.
I think the Patriots and the Rams are both below average.
Oh, okay.
Average.
Wait. You have the Rams at below average?
No,
then?
I have Rams in my average category.
All right. So now you can call this me being biased, and you're probably right. So the defense is gonna have a lot of questions just with rookies and stuff. Like we're gonna have to rely on a lot of rookies. But from what I know about our players and the rookies we drafted, our secondary is gonna be solid. We're still gonna have Aaron Donald and Samson Ebukam. And we also got Michael Brockers back. So our defensive line is going to be pretty solid. Like, it'll be solid. It won't be great, but it'll be solid. Like, we'll make the quarterback uncomfortable. Offensively, our offensive line is still going to be shaky. Now, we did have injury problems last year, so I'm hoping with everyone coming back healthy, like Rob Havenstein, that means Jared Goff has a better year. We still have a really good receiving core. Running backs is going to be shaky, but I will say this about Cam Akers. He ran behind a terrible offensive line in Florida State, so, I mean, unsubtle shots at us. He'll be used to playing with bad offensive line, so that'll help a lot. That's just me being a biased Rams fan. So, and not to mention, I mean, their schedule's going to be hella not easy, but it is what it is.
What would you guys? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to make a joke, but you can make them seem being below average because they have a shitty logo.
That's not a joke. You're
That's
not
the
wrong.
kicker. That's the kicker because they're going to be like, we play for that ugly ass logo.
True. I will say this though, I did see a leak of what their new uniforms could look like from Cam Akers, and they actually look pretty clean.
Where do you guys have Miami?
Oh, okay. So I put Miami in below average just because I don't think Tua's going to play this year, so I think their offense is going to take a hit.
I also put Miami in below average. I feel like Miami is going to be either the 3rd or the 4th seed in their division, and I feel like they're not quite ready to be an average team yet. Give them a year or 2. I think the pieces will come together.
Give them next year when Tua plays, and that team will pop like crazy because that defense is legit.
I just don't think they're ready this year with their division and with all the teams we listed above them that we already defined as better. I don't think they are ready yet to be average.
Right.
So I have them in the below average category also, but I think they're going to place 2nd in the division.
I still think I think it's going to be Bills, Patriots, Dolphins. I I think Bill Belichick's going to come pull something out of his ass. I don't know. I don't know how many wins they're going to win, but I think they're going to win more than the Dolphins.
See, and it's funny, Ben, because the fact that you mentioned that, I have the New England Patriots as an average team, and then I switched them to below average. But the fact that I put them in the average category because I thought the same thing you did. For some reason, because that defense is still going to be good. I'll give credit to this. That defense is not going anywhere,
Yeah.
And
I would remember your losses there. We lost 3 linebackers.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and we replaced them with rookies.
Okay.
But
well, that'll be an issue. But outside, I mean, okay. So I'll say
Juwan
this.
Bentley's legit.
Yeah.
And I guess we only lost 2 linebackers. We have Juwan Bentley, who's gonna kind of step up, and we have Dante Hightower, who's gonna step up.
Yeah. Dante Hightower's good.
Our rookies are probably gonna be playing. It's kind of going back and forth on how good they're gonna actually do, though.
Who'd you guys draft again for linebacker?
I remember we drafted Uchi. I don't
Okay.
remember the other one.
See, and to make it feel better about Uchi, it's actually a really good drafting by New England. Like, that's a solid pickup.
So it's actually interesting. A lot of like the draft grades and stuff think that the other guy might be a little bit more game ready. Although Uchi just has a lot of like raw talent that
Yes, and that's
we'll
and
be
that's
able
what
to
I'm
tap
banking.
into.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. He has a lot of raw athleticism, and he can just fly all over the field, and he's a tackling machine. But he's not. His football IQ may not fully be there. Like when it comes to like learning an NFL offense and like playbooks and stuff, he may struggle. And I think he needs to bulk up a little more muscle. But
and I think a year, with Bill Belichick, the
right, yeah, no
wizard
kidding.
of the NFL,
Right.
he'll learn it. I definitely think the Patriots are gonna bounce back from, their hits that they've taken. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think they're going to figure things out. This is going to be a trial run year for them.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking that Jarrett Stidham's going to do good. So, like, I do have them still beating Los Angeles, just for the Jarrett v. Jared meme.
Lol.
But I have them in the lower average or in the below average category.
I do. Let's see if there's anybody that we can all agree on an average. So I'll just go through all the teams that I have here and just.
We had a couple. Before, I believe we did have the Cowboys, Vikings, and Cardinals.
Yep, we have those.
Yes, we have those teams.
Bears.
I am below.
I had them as below average.
Okay, they're not in the discussion. Raiders.
I had them at below average as well.
I think the Raiders are going to be one of the worst teams next year, so I have them below average.
I can see it.
Redskins.
Below average.
I have them at average.
Texans.
I also have them at average.
Average.
I also have them average.
Brendan, Texans average.
Hold on, I'm chewing a cookie.
Okay, and
no?
full disclaimer, I had the Bills as an average, but we can replace them with Cleveland if we need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, usually we would put Cleveland in.
Yeah.
So Brendan, Texans average.
Below average.
Below
average. Below average.
I could see it.
Okay,
They just blew up their team.
Giants.
Well, they didn't really blow up their team. They just made some questionable decisions. Like the thing for me with the Texans is like they're still gonna have Deshaun Watson. The receiving core is solid, like really good still. But the thing with me is like no one brings anything different to the table. So I think their offense could be extremely one-dimensional in the pass game and have a limited route tree, and that's going to be a big concern. But that defense is not very good outside of J.J. Watt, who can't stay healthy.
No.
Right.
Brendan, Duncan, who'd you say next?
Giants.
Below average.
Yeah,
Below
below average. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yep.
Steelers.
Average.
Average. All right. Steelers are up in average there. Lions.
Below
average.
I think they're going to be average. Broncos.
Average.
Below average.
I
Horse
also
cock
have
lock. Average.
I put below just because that division, again, it's going to be hard with the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think they're both going to do good. I think it's going to make Denver struggle.
Jaguars.
Offense made great improvements. So that's my big thing with. Oh wait, for who? I'm sorry.
Jags.
Jags below. They're going to be the worst team in the league.
Yeah,
I'll agree with
100%.
that. Panthers.
Awful. One of the worst. Below average.
Okay, so I put them at below average based on because I thought we were doing 5 and 5, so that's what I did. But I'll make the case for Carolina to be an average team. Honestly,
Okay.
I think their offense is extremely improved. Their defense. Now, if you were to put them in below average, I'm not going to be mad about it because their defense is going to be a shit ton of rookies.
Yeah.
I think their defense needs a year to kind of come together.
And honestly, like, and I won't refute that. Now, I like the rookies that they got, but they're all still like they legit could start 5 rookies on that defense. No joke.
Yeah, and I'm just worried that there's a lack of leadership there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. That's why you got Matt Rule and Teddy Bridgewater. I don't question. Oh wait, are you
No,
talking about
I mean
defense?
on the field defensively. I'm
Oh,
worried
I'm
there's
sorry.
a lack
Okay,
of
I thought you were
leadership.
okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
I
just the
trust
team in
Matt
general.
Rule. I trust Teddy B.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
that defense. It's just like, hey, are we running man or zone?
Right.
Just pick one.
Right. See, now if
Part of
Luke
the-
Kuechly was still there, it would be a different story.
Oh, if Luke Kuechly was still there, I mean, I would have them in the average, no doubt.
Right.
I think it has to be below average just because new coach, it's a new quarterback. There's so many rookies going to be starting on defense. I think the team needs time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have no issue putting below average. I can make a case for Carolina being above average because I think they're going to put up a crap ton of points. I think they could sneakily be one of the top 5 or top 10 offenses, in the NFL. But they're going to have to do that if they want to be any kind of success.
So you would say you're thinking that they would go strong defensively with Luke Kuechly to be strong offensively with Luke Sneakley.
Yes.
Bengals.
Below.
Below.
They're a couple years away, but I love Joe Burrow.
I agree with you.
Too
I
many
agree.
holes.
Jets.
Below
Average.
Below.
I have them average.
I think they're going to be the worst in the division.
Really?
I agree with that.
The team that finished 5-2 at the end of the year, Sam Darnold showed great improvements. That defense is going to be better. The offensive line is going to be better. I'm actually kind of high on the Jets. I could see the Jets winning their division, honestly.
Really? Over the Bills?
I do. Now, that's the thing. Like, I do think the Bills are probably a better team, but that's why I'm not going to pick the Jets to beat out the Bills. But I could see it happening. I think Sam Darnold's going to take another big leap. I think Le'Veon Bell's going to have an improved year with a better offensive line. Sam Darnold, again, won't get sacked as much. Now, I will say this, though. Who is Sam Darnold going to throw to? And that's a legit concern. But I think that defense is going to be solid. Like, that team could be solid enough.
My thing with the Jets, right, is although the offensive line got better, I feel like we're not going to see a decrease in the amount of times that Sam Darnold is sacked just because he's going to have to take longer to make these reads for these kind of shitty receivers.
Yeah,
and I can see it happening because they still don't have any good receivers. Well, actually, okay. So here I'll say this about Denzel Mims. He's a rookie. He is not like fully polished as a wide receiver, but if he pops the way he's supposed to, like, he'll be a really good option.
I think that the AFC East is going to go from being like one of the weakest divisions in football to being one of the hardest. We're gonna see it like overnight, and it's just gonna like kind of unfold. It's gonna be beautifully ugly.
That's how like, honestly, I could see the winner of the AFC East going 8-8 and winning that division. Like, I think it's gonna be that just much of a. And it won't
I think
necessarily
next year
it won't be because the team is bad. It's just gonna be because they're just, I don't know. It's just it seems like they're teams that are like in transition. It seems, if that kind of makes sense, except for maybe Buffalo. But I don't think they have any easy games against the Patriots, Bills, or Jets or Dolphins.
No. So here's what I think we should do is, Duncan, did we get through all the teams yet?
Yeah, we went through all the teams.
So how many? So I know we have a couple undecided ones, but you've been recording them, right, Duncan?
Yep. There's 11 teams that we have not placed.
All right. Let's rapid fire vote them. How many spots do we need in each?
We need 6 in average and 4 in the other.
Should be 5 if it's 11 teams. Should be 6 and 5.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, 6 and 5. Top of the list. Rapid fire. Let's go.
Falcons.
Average.
Below average.
I have them below average too.
So 2 below and 2 above.
We'll put them to the side here. Patriots. I have below.
I also have below.
So they go below.
I want them to be an underdog, so then they'll do better.
Rams. I have them below.
I have them average.
I have them average as well.
So they're 2 and 2.
Dolphins. I have them average.
Below. No Tua.
There's 3 belows.
Sorry, Dolphins.
Yeah, so sad.
Right.
Their time is coming, though. Their time is coming.
Texans.
Average.
Below.
I have them below.
I have above.
I have above. Or average, you know. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Average. Average.
So
I got confused with the below.
Jets.
Average.
Below.
I have them average.
Nice, Duncan. Way to save the
They're
day.
2 and 2.
Broncos. I have them average.
Average.
That's 3.
Attaway Denver.
Horsecock lock.
Yeah.
Horsecock lock. You gotta fear the horsecock lock.
Okay. Lions.
Below.
Below.
All right, they go below.
Sorry, Matthew.
What's this team called? Redskins.
Below.
Average.
I have them below.
I'm gonna upvote this one. Average.
Nice.
Bears.
Below.
I have them below.
They go below.
I was gonna say average, but they can go below.
Sorry,
Oh.
not sorry, Mitchell.
And that leaves
There should be one more below spot left.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Leaves one spot left. The Browns.
Above.
Oh, I thought we agreed
Or
that the
average.
Browns were average.
Browns are average.
Average. Okay. So that means that we have one spot
For
for
below
below
average.
average.
How many teams?
5.
All right.
Oh,
and
jeez.
go through them real quick. We need to pick one to be below average.
See, but okay, Jets.
Okay.
The Jets, the Redskins, the Rams, the Texans, and the Falcons.
We got to determine the worst team. I really think of those 5, the worst is the Redskins. Redskins are the Jets.
I think the worst is actually the Texans.
See, and I would say the Jets would be the worst team out of that bunch. I agree.
I would say the Texans too. I think.
Ooh.
All right. So it can come down to the Texans versus the Jets for the below average.
Oh God. See, if I had to make the case, I would have to take the side of the Jets to be below average, personally.
See, I think it's below. I think it's going to be the Jets too for below average.
See, because I think the Texans' offense is still going to be like okay. Like they still, I like Houston's offense better.
I like Deshaun Watson over Sam Darnold.
I would agree. Now,
I think-
defense advantage New York.
Yeah. Well, see, I kind of feel like they're in similar situations. Houston has slightly better receivers.
Yeah.
But New York has better running back.
Better running back, better offensive
Well,
line,
is
better
Lev-
defense.
That Bell
Yeah.
didn't do great last year.
He still was a kind of a workhorse, especially during the early part of the season.
Do
I
you
should
think?
know I had him in fantasy.
Do you think he is going to be better than David Johnson?
Who, Le'Veon?
Yes.
Oh no, Le'Veon's definitely better than David Johnson. I'm
Well,
not saying Le'Veon's an elite running back. I'm just saying he's better than David Johnson.
That was my question. That was
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was what you were saying.
no.
David Johnson. I love David Johnson, but I don't think he's gonna work in the Texans system.
It'd be the Johnson brothers, Duke and David. They're not brothers, so that's not.
They are the Johnson brothers. I like Duke Johnson better than I like David Johnson in the Texans system.
That's facts.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I would agree with that statement.
Because Duke Johnson has actually like shown himself to be like just a really valuable like change-up asset.
Yeah, he's a
'Cause
shifty fast running back.
When he comes out, he just throws off the teams. Because and that's kind of how the Texans have used him. The Texans kind of have a problem where they have some identity problems at their running backs. So they have 2 receiving backs. They do the receiving backs in different ways, but like if you think about it, David Johnson almost went 1,000. So my problem is I feel like what Texans would need to kind of parody Duke Johnson better is a more like blue collar running back.
If this is any consolation, based on 2019 records, the New York Jets have the second hardest schedule in the league.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, because they play both the West.
Yeah.
I
If
would.
that's consolation.
And the Jets still went 7-9. And the reason they went 7-9 is because Sam Darnold had mono.
No, this year they have the hardest schedule, Noah.
Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. That's
This
tough.
next year.
I'd argue the Rams and Redskins would be worse than both those teams, though.
No,
The
Oh,
Rams
no,
have
no,
a
no.
harder. They're a much harder division.
The Rams do get handed 6 L's, like by
No, it
default.
won't be 6 L's. Get out of here. They'll split
6
with the
L's
Cards.
by default.
No,
And I think-
they'll get 4 L's by default.
I think the
6.
Redskins are just worse than both those teams as well.
No, I
I
think the
don't.
Redskins. I think the Redskins defense is going to be legit, and I think they have enough weapons on offense to be a sneaky, like
I
weird, like team.
Okay, here's
The
my
Redskins-
argument for the Redskins versus the Rams. The Redskins aren't the worst team in their division,
Well,
Well, I could argue the Rams aren't the worst team in their division,
but they are.
but I could argue they're not.
I would say
I
they
don't
are.
know how. You have the number 1 offense, you have the Seahawks, and you have the
I think our defense is better than Arizona. I think our defense is better than Arizona's.
You have a good front four, and then that's it.
We also have a good secondary.
Jalen Ramsey's a bust, dude.
I thought Jalen Ramsey's contract was up.
No.
Oh.
Jalen Ramsey got a 3-year deal.
Yeah, no, Jalen Ramsey's still a Ram. We still have Taylor Rapp. We have Terrell Burgess. We have John Johnson. Our secondary's like really underrated. Our defensive line's underrated. Now we don't have a linebacker for crap, but
you don't have a linebacker, and I didn't know any of the names that you listed.
Technically, we don't know if Arizona does yet because we don't know where they're going to put Isaiah Simmons.
But they have Chandler Jones.
Okay, we have Sanson Ebucom.
Who?
Who?
He was actually kind of like had a breakout season last year.
Sanson Ebucom is awesome, and we got Michael Brockers back because the deal with the Ravens didn't go through. And
I don't think either of these teams are the ones that we should downvote, though. I really think between the Texans and
I don't
the
think
Jets.
the Redskins or Rams should be downvoted.
I think it should be, honestly, I got convinced. I think it should be the Texans.
I would still say the Jets. I would still say the Jets. Honestly, is below average.
Duncan, are the Texans below average?
Yeah, but I think both teams are.
But we ran out of slots.
So here's the thing, right? Looking at our below average, I'd take the Dolphins, I'd move them up to average, and I'd put both teams below average. But that's.
I think Miami is slightly worse than the Texans and the Jets.
Miami's already voted to below average.
Yeah, but looking at these below average teams, I don't know how to justify putting these teams above them.
Can't we just put the Texans in below average?
I guess.
I think we should put the Jets there, but whatevs.
Okay, so if that's what we're doing, we have it completed. So we'll start off at the top, go to the bottom. So our top best teams, top 4 here are the Chiefs, the Niners, the Saints, and the Ravens.
Yep.
Our above average are the Titans, the Colts, the Bills, and the Chargers.
Yep. The
Seahawks, Eagles, Packers, Buccaneers.
Yep.
Our average is the Cowboys, Vikings, Cardinals, Steelers, Broncos, Browns, Jets, Falcons, Redskins, Rams. And then our below average would be the Giants, the Texans, the Jags, the Raiders, the Panthers, the Bengals, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Bears.
Okay, I kind of see why you were a little wishy-washy about some of those teams that were kind of like auto thrown in the below average and average.
I also think the Giants are better than the Jets.
Oh, I don't. I think Giants are one of the worst teams in the league.
I think the Giants are also going to be one of the worst. I agree with Noah. I think the Jets are going to be way better than the Giants.
I don't know. I personally think the Patriots are better than the Rams, but
I don't know anymore, man.
It's a toss-up.
We've been arguing this for 2 hours. I don't know.
No, I'm good with the consensus, but I am wishy-washy about it at the same time.
So that is that. You can find us on social media at SighSquadPod, and that's where we'll have the visual of all that. But with that, it's time to move on.
So what was one of the teams that we had a little bit of a struggle ranking?
Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Yes, sir.
So I am going to have a different view during this than what I did during our rankums on them, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
Looking like I went over the roster and I was trying to come up with holes. The only one I could really find was there is one major severe hole, and that's linebacker, right? The rest are kind of they may not be A+ hole spots filled, but they're a solid C or better.
Right.
At every other position. So, kind of what I determined for next year, this is because I'm just going to go over, what I was thinking their holes were and kind of what I talked against myself. So the first thing I thought of was tight end, right? But they did pick up Hayden Hurst, who I feel like can be good in their system.
Yeah.
Because what he did in college, and he just kind of ended up being the number 2 guy on a 1 tight end offense.
Right.
So, I definitely think he's going to be good. Atlanta's O-line is always pretty solid, so I don't really have any concerns there. Wide receiver is obviously set because you have Calvin Ridley and Julio. I mean, something I'd probably want to address in the near future is quarterback, but Matt Ryan is definitely good enough. I'm just more concerned about age there for the near future. Secondary is a little weak. This is going to be one of the C+, but they did address it. C categories. They did address it with what's his name? AJ Terrell in the draft. I liked that pick, and plus their safeties are actually, I mean, still Ricardo Allen, Keanu Neal. So I feel like that's going to be good enough as long as Keanu Neal can stay healthy. But we don't talk about injuries. We don't predict injuries unless you're Ben.
Right.
Sorry to call you out like that, Ben, but you kind of deserved it.
Ooh, ouch.
To be fair, some people are just injury prone, and you gotta expect it.
Yeah, but like, so my other thing is DeMonte Kazi is also a safety that they have. So they kind of have 3 good safeties. So if they kind of switch to a solid zone defense, they're sitting all right.
What did you say about me? I was gone. I was up.
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
What was it?
I just said we can't predict injuries, and I said unless you're Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right. I'm pretty good at it.
Going back to what I said, linebacker. We are weak at linebacker. I mean, our D-line is stacked, though, because we have Grady Jarrett, Dante Fowler. There's one other person. Oh, and then Tack McKinley, I mean.
What do you feel about them not picking up his 5th-year option?
I don't know. I feel like so the Falcons are broke.
Yeah.
They have $1 million in cap space this next year. So I don't know. I feel like we probably should have picked up his 5th option because he is good. But I don't know if maybe we wanted to leave it off there. So that way, if we want to blow up the team next year, we can.
You mentioned cap, and I think that was part of the reasons. He had 3 sacks last year and had 13 so far in his career, but his 10th-year option would have been $10 million next year.
Oh, yeah. No, that's why. It's money.
Yeah.
I think he's interesting. So at linebacker, all we really have is Deion Jones, and that's when he's healthy. Like, I don't have enough faith in any of these other guys.
I could see that.
Maybe I have a little bit of faith in Ahmad Thomas, but that's about it. But the veterans minimum is $625K.
You're right.
Do you know who would probably a good linebacker who would probably take the veterans minimum?
Clay Matthews.
No, I didn't think about him actually. That's also an option.
I like that
I thought he
option.
got signed.
No, I don't think so.
Rams owe him like $1 million.
Petty asses.
I thought he got signed. Hold on. I'm pretty sure he was on this list that I was looking at. But the guy I was thinking of is the great, shit, I forgot his name already. No, I didn't. It's Terrell Suggs.
Oh,
I forgot the Texans signed Randall Cobb, actually.
yeah. And actually, for linebacker free agents, I know it's not a large crop right now. The only other name, I'm not going to list them right now. The only other name that sticks out to me is Nigel Bradham.
I thought he got signed also. He's also kind of too expensive.
That's true. He wouldn't probably take the minimum. He is still a free agent, though.
He's kind of too expensive. I like Nigel Bradham a lot, personally. Dang, Jason Peters hasn't been signed.
No, and actually, probably one of the best free agents right now is an offensive lineman somewhere, Larry Warford from the Saints.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a job.
And under 30.
Do you guys need a defensive end?
No, we got Dante Fowler Jr. Well, and I said Tack,
right.
But Marcus Golden is another name that kind of popped out because he can kind of play that edge linebacker role, which is also like Terrell Suggs. But I think Terrell Suggs would probably want to go to somewhere that's like a walk to the playoffs.
Back to the Ravens.
Yo, I could see it. That would be really good. Looking at like some of the free agents available, there's some that I really like.
I'm still like I'm just looking at them too. Like Everson Griffin's still available.
Logan Ryan.
Yeah, but Logan Ryan's the problem. The problem I had was we just don't have any money.
That's true. And I was just talking about in general. Logan Ryan's
Yeah.
a quality free agent who's available.
Yeah, because if we had money, I would probably say we'd pick up Logan Ryan, but I also don't think Logan Ryan would join our team. I also would talk about Eric Reed.
Potentially, yeah.
He's kind of a forgotten safety, but I feel like he could play kind of a zone corner.
Yeah.
If we wanted to just back it up. And there's also like Prince Amukamara.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have the exact number. Do we have? Damn, we don't. I thought that we might have 1.2 mil in cap, which if that was the case, I was gonna suggest maybe we try to get. He wouldn't do it. Man.
With all your changes, how good will the Falcons be? Or do you
the Falcons last season proved that they can just be very unpredictable and just kind of steal wins from good teams and give wins to bad teams. So I could see them with these changes, if everything falls into place, meaning they don't all get injured like 2 seconds into the season, that they actually make the playoffs.
Ooh.
Barely.
Barely
make the playoffs just because they steal games.
They are very good at that.
Because they would split the Bucks, split with the Saints, and this is like fantasy land, like level areas here. I have them sweeping Carolina with these changes. Mostly because they have Young Ho Koo, by the way. That's who their kicker is right now.
Young Ho is their kicker?
Young Ho is their kicker. It's the only kicker on their roster.
Yeah.
So you already know. They have Ryan Allen and a rookie punter. It's not the punter I talked about, though. Don't worry. I have them just barely making the playoffs and then losing, but nonetheless.
All right. Well, then that brings us to a great thing where we spin stuff and do things.
Yeah. Who's next, Duncan?
I think it is me. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it goes, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure it goes Duncan, me, Noah, Brendan. Or that's how it went OG before Ethan.
Yeah, but I gave Ethan my spot.
Yeah. So Duncan's up next.
All right. Let me make sure we get this all pulled up here real quick.
Big money, big money, big money. What team do you want? Cardinals?
Honestly, I'll take... There's not many really people that I don't want at this point.
Fair enough.
I'm okay with almost anybody.
I don't want you to get the Patriots.
Love to get the Patriots. I could tell them how to do better.
I personally would like the Patriots.
I would like you to get the Rams. Just don't get the Bears. I want the Bears.
Hey, I got the Texans.
Oh, how do you make a below average team average?
Wow. So I think this will go really well with what we're doing here as we got our thing built here on our teams because I can move them up, I think. So make sure you tune in next week to find out how I move the Texans up. Okay.
It's really sad seeing the Patriots in below average. Although I was one of the main people who put them there.
It does seem kind of awkward, but
before we were recording, I was telling Ben and Duncan, I'm like, I can't wait to put the New England in an average or below average category. Can't wait.
Were you expecting it to make me mad?
No, it's a nice change of scenery. That's all.
So my big thing with the Patriots is whenever you make them the underdog, you regret it.
No, and trust me, I've been watching
proven that time and time again.
No, yeah, they've been proving it since I've been in football. And whenever we count them out, that's when they just decide to be like, well, fuck it. But to be fair, that's when they had your boy Tom Brady.
That's very true.
Well, they have the next coming of God, Jarrett Stidham. So
that is true.
They have Jarrett Jesus Stidham.
I swear, if Jarrett Stidham ever becomes better than Tom Brady, like he ends up being the next Tom Brady but better, I'd be pissed.
If he becomes better than I feel like if that happens, I called it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the only one that's ever been like supportive of him out of us four. So I mean, you wouldn't be wrong.
Well, so it was actually really interesting. Like looking over his scouting report, talent-wise, the thing that he does the best is he can put the ball anywhere.
Oh,
Like that's what scouts say about him. The reason why like he went in the 4th round is because in college he had a couple games that were just like phenomenal. Like the stats are just crazy. And then he had a lot of average games. So that kind of just the average games lowered him down. Where
right.
he wasn't bad by any means, but he wasn't like we need to get this guy.
Yeah.
He didn't go into college and shake up the world like Tua or Trevor Lawrence, but he kind of just coasted through it and was prime when he needed to be prime.
Yeah, because I remember watching at Auburn. Like he was good at Auburn.
Yeah, so he actually was at he started at Baylor
and then transferred to Auburn.
Yeah, and at Baylor, he got the call up for a game, and he ended up throwing for like I think it was like 326, 3 touchdowns, something like that.
Solid.
Like a 75% completion rating.
Heck yeah.
Something like that.
You do gotta remember though, that's college, not the professional.
No, I know. But that's all we have is college and his time in preseason.
That's fair.
And I feel like that's going to be kind of the advantage with Jarrett Stidham because he's going to come out. People are going to probably going to like underrank him from what he actually is. And he will show them that they're wrong.
Okay.
Or if not, the Patriots will be the worst team in the league and they will tank for Trevor.
Speaking of the Patriots.
Oh.
This week's Hall of Famer, Hall of Lame, it is Julian Edelman.
I've actually had this discussion a lot, and I've actually had it a lot with Noah. And
yes, I was just gonna say, me and Brendan have had this conversation quite often. He knows my answer.
I mean, he's probably one of the top 10 wide receivers with his skin color.
I mean, you're not wrong. He's probably top 5 in his respective, in that category.
Top 3.
Yeah, behind probably only Adam Thielen.
I
guess I just can't think of any other white receivers at the top of my head.
I know the biggest argument back in the day was Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, but he doesn't play anymore.
He doesn't play anymore. He doesn't matter.
Oh, are we talking about currently or just all time?
I was thinking all time top 10.
Oh, I would have to go through it because there's been a lot of good ones.
Because there's a lot of really old guys that we don't think about. Ever.
Well, right, I'm sure. And like Steve Largent was really, really good too.
But yeah, and especially if you go really far back, you get some names.
Yeah. But about Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
But Duncan, you should start this.
Okay, so I think that Julian Edelman will be a future Hall of Famer. I contribute most of that to his postseason and his Super Bowls. He does have 3 Super Bowl wins and a Super Bowl MVP, which I get, when you're on the Patriots team that's winning like that, obviously. But I think that does partly matter. He doesn't have too phenomenal of a regular season record, but he's not horrible, and I think he's definitely, depending on how long he continues to play, he's debatable to be a receiver that could be going into the Hall of Fame. But I think that his Hall of Fame, he also is the 2nd all-time catches in the postseason, and I think his postseason career is what just kind of puts him over the top.
I'm going next, and I'm going to say, this is hard. I think he's going to make it to a Hall of Fame eventually. I don't think it's going to be right away. I think I know I don't have the list pulled in front of me, but I know there's already a long waiting list for wide receivers who are going to make it to the Hall of Fame. And it kind of depends on when we retire. You could have Calvin Johnson making it here. Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, he retires for the next couple seasons. He could be a potential wide receiver that can make it a Hall of Fame. Oh, I think with so many of all the talent we've had at wide receiver recently, especially like in the last couple of years and even the last couple of decades, I think it's going to be a while before they get to Julian Edelman. Because obviously his postseason, obviously being second most catches, and I think he's also actually second most postseason yards, is going to help him. But I think with all the people trying to get in the Hall of Fame and all the great receivers we've had recently, it's going to take a long time.
Nice. Who should we go with next? Noah?
Noah, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, he is absolutely a Hall of Famer. Not first ballot by any means. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer. So here's my question for you guys. We obviously talk about clutch quarterbacks and all that, but have you guys ever heard of a clutch receiver?
Yes.
Julian Edelman,
exactly. Julian Edelman, first off, as a postseason performer, like you said, Duncan, is enough to put him in the Hall of Fame. When you are second behind in every major receiving category behind the one and only Jerry Rice, that's incredible. I've seen Julian Edelman make so many clutch catches. I can talk about the Super Bowl against Atlanta. I can talk about the big catches he made against the Chiefs last in the AFC Championship. But the biggest argument is, well, he's never been a top 5 receiver in his respective, field. And I get that, but I could argue this is the most talent we've ever seen at wide receiver in his era of playing, because we've been in a league that's just been progressively being more and more pass friendly. But on top of that, just some regular season stats. Julian Edelman, so his first 4 years in the league, he didn't play very much. He was still kind of finding his role. But once 2013 rolled around, he has had over 1,000 yards 3 times. And in the years that he didn't, he had 972 receiving yards, but didn't play 2 games. And same thing in 2015, played only 9 games, but had 692 yards and had 850 yards in 2018, but missed 3 games or didn't play in 3 games. Now, I don't remember which year that was where he got suspended, but Julian Edelman has the numbers. He is a catching machine. Now, I will say this year, more than any, this will be the deciding year. Because obviously, let's say Julian Edelman does not have a good year this year, then everyone's going to be talking about how he needed Brady, blah, blah, blah. But let's say Julian Edelman goes out there, he puts up good numbers, he puts up 800 to 1,000 receiving yards again. I think it's a lock, because then you can't sit there and say it's because of Tom Brady. One of the best slot receivers we've ever seen play the game. I think the numbers are there to back him up, despite him never being a top 10 receiver. But I think if you're to put these numbers in other places, like not New England, because obviously the big argument for him, like I said, is it's Tom Brady making him look good. But put him on another team, give him those numbers. I think the conversation's a little bit different for him being a top 10 receiver. And it's just hard because he's a slot receiver. But he's very, very good at it.
So, Brendan.
And I want one more thing real quick. So I mentioned a list of some receivers that could be potentially getting in soon. I did find a short list of some. It could. Torrey Holt was on the list. It was Torrey Holt, Hines, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson, Steve Smith, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden are some ones that are about to retire or have retired recently that we could see here in the next 5-10 years get in.
The fact that Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame is just disgusting. It took freaking forever for Isaac Bruce to get into the Hall of Fame.
It really did.
Long overdue. And I don't even think that's me being biased. I think that's just the consensus. It took way too long for Isaac Bruce to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it really took a long time for Isaac Bruce to get in, and Isaac Bruce has had an amazing career.
Oh, he's won a top 15 receiver all time. You can maybe argue top 10.
I bet Torrey
in my
Holt's gonna
opinion, he is a top 10.
A finalist in this next class.
He better be.
So, am I good now, or did we kind of interrupt you, Ben?
No, you go ahead.
Cool. So, do I think Slotty Pippen belongs in the Hall of Fame? I mean, obviously, yes. There's so many things. I think one of the biggest factors to do it is the fact that he has the Super Bowl MVP.
Yes.
Because he played on the same team as Thomas Brady, just some Joe Schmo of a guy, and he got MVP.
Yeah.
We've seen the Super Bowl MVP majority of the time be quarterbacks. Obviously, not all the time. We've seen it be other people at other times. But the fact that Julian... Yeah, well, who are you going to give it to? Bum Manning?
Hey.
Ouch.
Who are you going to do it to? Peyton Manning with a walker?
Hey. Keep going, though.
Anyways, the Super Bowl MVP is one of the biggest things. Aside from that, though, Julian Edelman's postseason performance, we can sit here and talk about for hours as to why. Here's another thing I want to bring to the table, though. So, Julian Edelman and Tom Brady are, best friends, right?
Right.
I think Tom Brady leaving New England is going to make Julian Edelman push harder and harder. Because right now, if the quarterback were to like choose the wide receivers, right, the lineup would be Jacoby Myers, Marquise Lee, and then Julian Edelman. That would be the three from like Jarrett Stidham's perspective.
And Julian Edelman would probably be the most reliable out of all those guys.
But he wasn't last year. Julian Edelman last year actually dropped like a number of passes, and I feel like he's still dealing with some of his lingering injury.
Right.
But I think this year, like I said, I think without Tom there, he's just going to fight harder and harder to kind of win Jarrett Stidham's trust, and as well as just win the Patriots football games.
True.
I think that Tom Brady leaving is an underlining factor that's going to make Julian Edelman be better.
Yeah. Like I said, this is the crucial year for Julian Edelman. Like I said, if he puts up good numbers again, then it's obvious he didn't need Brady. He's just a good receiver as is.
But I also can see Julian Edelman retiring after this season or the next season,
or just demand a trade to the Bucs.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised the Bucs haven't traded for him yet.
I mean, might as well say screw it. Let's just get everyone.
So no. Here's the funny thing: if the Buccaneers were to trade for Julian Edelman, their three receivers would be Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Julian Edelman.
That'd be insane. Unfortunately, Tampa already drafted a slot receiver, so I mean that's probably out of the cards.
But who better to learn from than Slotty Pippen?
True, that is facts. Like might as well just go all in. You're gonna have because as of right now, the Bucs still have two like really good tight ends. They have two elite receivers, and to have Julian Edelman in the slot like that would be an insane lineup that we have never seen.
Like they would be a one-dimensional defense, but they would be a one-dimensional defense you could not cover.
Yeah.
Because like if you take out Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you'll have three other people on the field you can throw to.
Right. Because not to mention, like let's say you do figure out a way to stop good Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, you're still going to have Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski, who have been two of Tom Brady's most well-liked and most loved targets ever in his entire 20-plus year career.
And one of the biggest things that Julian Edelman brings to the table is yards after catch.
Facts.
He is a yacker, and he doesn't do it by just being faster than you. Like, I've seen Julian Edelman just break ankles as well. I've also seen Julian Edelman just truck someone. It happened like once, but it was very interesting to see. Julian Edelman is like one of the like grittiest receivers in the game. Like, I think of like he doesn't have like the same physicality as like a Steve Smith Sr. had, but like that grittiness level that they both kind of have because they're smaller guys is evident.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Right. So that's put in Julian Edelman is a Hall of Famer in the SighSquad book. All right, well, this has been the SighSquad podcast. You can follow us on social media at SighSquadPod. Make sure to be on the lookout for our graphic of what we thought the NFL tier will look like next year. As we have our pyramid made here. It just goes over everything we would talk about in this episode. And thanks for listening. My name's Duncan.
I'm Noah.
Ben. Listen to me, I'm Ben.
I are Brendo the Friendo.
And this has been the SighSquad podcast. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.